Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, good. So some of you, I hope all of you have all of the links that I've given you. So this is my blog. And this is the platform called WordPress that you're going to be using. And just to let you know, one of the important aspects about creating a blog is it's literally your new resume. Yes, we have a piece of paper for very specific details, which is your resume, and that's where you would put it in your About page. But you can use this blog platform. Once you log into WordPress, you only need one login, and you can have as many blogs as you want. So let me just show you the blogs that I have. So all of these are the blogs I have created with WordPress. So if you have a specific assignment, you have a specific project, you have other people wanting to work with you, you can all give them the rights to contribute to the blog and access the blog and so forth. So, and you only need that one login. So you can have multiple blogs. And it happens to be that a lot of businesses are utilizing WordPress. And so this conversation that I'm talking to you about is a web conversation. It's called web design. So any industry is needing to create web pages and so forth. And so this gives you the opportunity to create a web page without doing code. There's a million templates and so forth. Now, if you want to get very picky and become a web designer, there is a program called WordPress.org. And what that lets you do is to customize the template, the page, the web design. So that's a very good resourceful site. So let me just pull this in so you can see this. So like right now I'm in WordPress, and WordPress is going to be the first thing that we do on our break. You're going to make your pages, and I have the pages here. And I'm going to get this a little bigger. So revisit site. Let me visit the site. See, when you do the visit site is when the public can see what you see. And so on here, what we're going to do is we're going to create, let's get this refreshed. That did not do that. Hold on. Go back. Ha! Don't I love WordPress when it doesn't save what I did? I'm going to go back here. So now you see right now I'm going through this. So these are all of my pages that I have made. And let's pull this up here. So right now, we'll go back to this. I saved it somewhere. So I'm on 2 WordPresses right now. So that might be why it didn't save. I'm on a PC, which I've always been a Mac. And so now I'm just troubleshooting. And now you see, even I can have troubleshooting issues and saving it, which is what it should have done, which is what I saved while we were waiting. So we'll come back to this. Maybe it might be here. Anyway, the point to be made is that we'll be getting back to creating WordPress pages. And this is right here, the editing mode, as you can see with the update. And over here, when I close it, this is where you would make the pages right here for the add the new page. So we'll walk through this again before our session is up. And so that's where I'm going to call up this particular syllabus. So questions to ask. I pretty much laid out all of the assignments that we're going to be doing. Let me get this a little bigger for us so that you can see this. So these 4 assignments will help you understand all of the mediums that you need to be able to create in Photoshop. One is hyperrealism that we'll talk about. The other one is creating such as like a collage assignment where you're using multiple images and you're putting a poster together. Very common thing that one needs to do. It could be for package design, it could be for a magazine ad, it could be, you know, a composite of multiple images, not trying to blend them, which would be the hyperrealism one. And then the web design. How do you do a web design? How do you, what is the basic production of designing a web page and so forth? And then we can actually do video. You can actually do motion graphics in Photoshop. So Photoshop video tools, their timeline is a really good tool. I call it sort of the baby step tool until you get into Premiere and After Effects, which is a higher level, but it looks very similar as far as the interface is concerned. And so it's a very good way to organize your ideas and your designs and to make a motion graphic. So we're doing one for print, one for web, and one for video. Those are the deliverables of each assignment that we do. And basically, the way I work as an educator is the way the studios work. You come up with your concept, you deliver the progress, you get feedback from the client. Obviously, I'm the client, I'm the art director. You're going to get feedback from your peers, and then you have your final, your delivery. And that goes for every assignment that we will have. And so you will create the pages for these. So that'll be hyperrealism page, collage, web design, and motion graphic. And within each of those pages, you will give us an example of what you did, how you did, and why you did. And here's a student of mine, Kathleen Corrigan. She was somebody who shifted gears professionally. She was a new mom and she needed to make an income at home. And so she was working for the studios. She actually worked for the film industry, but she always had an interest in design. And so she came and took the classes at WCC. She's now an independent freelance graphic designer. And this is her blog of all the courses that she took. And this helped her get an internship in the studios in Manhattan. And once she was able to do, once she could show the work that she did with us, she got the internship, and then the work that she did the internship, that's how she got her professional clients. So everything is a process, but the important thing is the deliverable. And so your work is always the most important context. So a couple of things, I got to watch my time. I want to talk about the products of Photoshop, of Adobe, where Photoshop is. So all of these products that you see are completely and utilized by most of the industries. I don't want to put a percentage on it because I don't have the data, but anyone who is creating print, web pages, and video, and I'm even talking VR, virtual reality, all those visual elements, even engineering, are utilizing these Adobe products. So this is where even PowerPoint, everyone utilizes these programs to create very specific content. So each of them are very unique. So for instance, Photoshop is obviously a bitmap. Illustrator is a vector. And I have a page here just to show us the difference. So this is something, let me get this a little bigger, see if we can get this bigger. So on here, is this getting bigger? Yeah. So you can kind of get a little bit to see how something like this over on the left side is very photographic, very much like a picture of a painting. So it's a photograph. Over here is where it's using a vector program, and that's Illustrator. That's where logo designs are made and illustrations. So for instance, I have in Photoshop, let me open up 2 pages. So I downloaded these 2 images here. And one is a bitmap and one is a photograph. So we'll just zoom in onto here. So here is a very good resolution. So I'm going to show you a couple of sites on where you can get your images. So yes, you have Google, but you also have public domain sites. We're going to talk about copyright. We're going to talk about licensing, you know, all the other things that are the back end of when you become a professional utilizing digital imaging. So if I kept zooming into this, you're basically going to see these pixels, okay? So that's what we call a bitmap program. Now, if I jumped, and when I come over to here, this image is made with a vector program. Now, of course, it has been converted to be bitmaps. So of course, again, you see those bitmaps. But if I jump to Illustrator, let me go to my Illustrator program. Oh, I brought that up here. Okay. If I go to Illustrator, watch what happens when I zoom in. No pixels. So that's the difference between a vector program and a bitmap program. So this is Illustrator. And so Illustrator has these things which we call the Bezier curve. Let me just zoom out of here. And so often you hear photographers say, I'll fix it in Photoshop or I'll fix it in Lightroom. People who draw and people who design logos and graphic designers, they say they'll fix it in Illustrator because it is a drawing program. If you can't get that drawing line that you so want, you can get it with what we call the Bezier curve. So even this circle that only has 1, 2, 3, 4 points to create a circle gives you the ability to have a vector program that when you zoom in, it has no pixels. Now, why is this important in the industry? Is because we call this also a vector format, and it's called AI, and that is a vector format. Another vector format is when you come up here to save as. Let me pull this over. Right here, these are vector formats. A PDF is a vector format. An EPS is what you send to a printer who's going to do 4-color printing for you, an offset printer. And then SVG, scalable vector graphics, that's how you get animation on the web. So these are things that you want to come to understand when you're generating image content for all the deliverables, whether it be print, whether it be web, or whether it be video. So for instance, a lot of the images that you see in Times Square, they're scaled up to a huge, huge scale. That is because a lot of the content is made by Illustrator. And so this image can be scaled up 1,000 feet, where in Photoshop, it's a very expensive process to get this image to be blown up without having the pixelization that happens. So when we do our hyperrealism assignment, we're going to talk about this. And what I want to say about here, let me come back out. So all of these links that I have here, I will have them in the video tutorials. So that's the important context of that. Here we go. So that's right here is the big difference between painting in Photoshop or drawing in Illustrator. So when you see these products that are Adobe products, here's Photoshop, here's Illustrator. InDesign. InDesign is for doing books and magazines and manuals and brochures, things that have multiple pages. It used to be the program that we would create web pages, but now that is Adobe XD. Adobe XD lets you design and create websites without code. That's really important for people who are creative or people who are not computer science majors, but there are visual skills. That's what XD does. Premiere is your very professional video editing where feature films are made. Often you can actually import with Photoshop, you can actually import right here. You can import video frames to layers. So that means if somebody needs to fix something in video, they'll give you a snippet that you can import into Photoshop, fix it, and export it back out as a video. And that's one of the multiple purposes of utilizing Photoshop. So all of these programs that I'm showing you actually have an importable tool to import Photoshop. So you will find yourself in and out of some of these programs. Audition, no. That's an audio program that records like voiceovers where you can tweak the control of the sound. Bridge is very connected to Photoshop. A lot of photographers, and a lot of you may be photographers, you have 1,000 pictures. How do you organize them? Bridge is the program to utilize. What's the difference between Lightroom and Bridge? Lightroom is for fixing one image. So if you don't like the light in a particular photograph, Lightroom is one of the better programs to utilize to fix one image. But in Photoshop, which is what we're learning, you're learning how to fix multiple pictures composited, and sometimes you do fix one picture, so you know more tools to fix things by learning Photoshop in digital imaging than if you only learned Lightroom. So Lightroom is great for just fixing certain things on a photograph. So anyway, so the important thing is to get these to be downloaded for you. The other tool I want to show you here is the color wheel. So anything that is made visually in Photoshop or in graphic design, in fashion design, interior design, anything visual, engineering, there are always 5 main colors. And that's important to remember to always begin with that. Then this is actually embedded in your Photoshop application. Right now, I'm out in a browser. It's actually a social media site for designers. So if you want, obviously, I think you all know this, when you get hired, your employer will Google you very intensely. And so what you want to do is to be sure that you have a social media footprint in professional sites. This happens to be one of them. This is a site where graphic designers save all of their palettes that they love. So for instance, they took a walk in the woods and they just loved all the colors around them. They can take a picture and the 5 dominant colors comes into this palette like this. And then you can use that in Photoshop. Same thing with web design. You're doing a website. You've got to pick up 5 colors. You go to the museum. You see Henry Matisse. You take a picture of the painting. You love the colors in that painting. You bring it back and it becomes this palette in this program right here. So this is where you can save it. So I'm just going to show you how you can easily use it. Super intuitive. So the middle one with the white arrow is your dominant color. So if I wanted to move this to my dominant color here, I'll say I want sort of a, let me try to get an avocado green. I'll pick a bright avocado here. That's the main dominant color. Now you have color theory right over here. So color theory, you don't have to look in the books. It's right here on this program. So if this is your dominant color, this is monochromatic. This is triad. These are complementary, split complementary. This is all physics that actually tell you what colors complement each other automatically. So you don't have to be you know, I fell in love with this because it takes me hours to choose my colors. And when this came around, I was so happy. You also can customize it. And so this number right here, you can actually pick it up and paste it in Photoshop, but you actually have this program within Photoshop. So every assignment that we have, which is the 5, is it 5? Right, 5, you want 5 colors to be on your progress. You want to demonstrate, you understand that 5 dominant colors are going to be part of this project, part of this assignment, even if it's hyperrealism. So I'm going to take your questions now. I'm going to unshare. And everyone you can just put your mute on, turn your microphone on if you do have a question. Some of you have looked at the syllabus. If there's any unclarity, you know, these sessions are for you to work on things. I'm not making it mandatory for you to be here. It's really about getting the work done. But when we have times to review, I'm going to be going to your website. So I have 10 minutes now. If no one has questions, I'm going to jump ahead to WordPress. So this time that we're apart right now, we want to do WordPress. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about WordPress, and I'm going to find out why WordPress did not save my page, and I'll show you why that is. This is the first time that I'm using it on this computer. So maybe it was on another site or something, I have no idea. But the point to be made, I want to walk you through WordPress. So WordPress, you must be logged into your email, which you probably are, and then you're going to create a site. So I'm going to do it for you so that you can see how to be able to access this. So let me share my screen again. I have a chat here. Let's see here. Okay, let me just share my screen. So we'll go back to WordPress. I'm already logged into WordPress, so once I show you how to get started, you go here. So you go to wordpress.com, you're going to start your website, you're going to put your email in, choose a username. So if you can get your name, that's great. You can put, you know, my name's Deb Cricken, so I could go Deb Cricken 2020 or Deb Quicken, you know, any username that you want. This is something that you'll use for the life of your WordPress experience, and then you create an account. And then you walk through the interface, and it's all free. Everything is free. Don't choose anything except for the free. But you have to kind of look around because they try to trick you into buying. So you want to be sure that you can get through that interface. So I'm going to let you get through that on your own, and if you have problems, we can talk about it. But let me show you what it looks like once you get in there. So once you get in there, let me just call up my site here. And digital imaging. Cannot believe it didn't save it. We'll have to go back. Anyway, so you'll have a page that looks like this. And this is the interface here. So right here under site, if it's closed up, you have pages. So the only pages that you need to do, if you look back to your syllabus, is you're going to make a page for hyperrealism. And within that page, you're going to make paragraphs called concept, progress, and final. These are titles of the paragraphs only. And so these are the individual pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 pages. Those are the 4 assignments that we'll be doing. So those are the pages that you'll have when you create this. So in other words, if I just create a page, add page, I'm going to call it hyperrealism. And when we come back, we'll talk about that hyperrealism. So then I would say concept, progress, and final. And so we'll talk about what you would have on those pages, but we'll do that when we have more time on that. And then the important thing is right up here to publish. which is what I was doing. So let me see. Oh, maybe I have it private. I have no idea. But anyway, we'll find out. So now we'll go back. And you see now there's hyperrealism right here. And so by default, you'll have a theme. You can go actually choose your themes right down here under custom themes. And you can choose any, and don't forget, choose the ones that are free. I rarely pay for any, I try not to pay for anything except for cloud space on applications, because you can get a lot of things that are free. So you see now I have my hyperrealism, and when I click that, I have my pages. So all of the production files that you'll be creating for this assignment will be in this particular page. So that's where the WordPress pages will be. So anything else, so, and once you get in there, you'll see, I'm gonna go to another site here. I have been on WordPress since the very beginning, so sometimes I have tools that you don't have. So let me, we had a women's history, which was unfortunately canceled. Let me go to my pages. Let me go back. So you can see how I'm going back and forth within the interface. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to add a page. And now this should look the way you, yeah, so this is what it will look like for you. So here's a blank. All you have to do is just use a blank layout. Keep it very simple, because what WordPress is trying to do is make it be much more customized for the consumer, not for the developer, but for the consumer. They know that's a bigger market than developers. So then I would say here, I would add my title, history, and then I would say concept, progress, and then final. And so all of these, it's easier just to keep that. And then again, of course, remember up here to publish. So you can, as you notice here, you see you can actually make pages that are password protected and private. So a lot of times if you have a popular site and you're making a new page, you don't want the public to see it, you can make it private until it's ready to launch. You also can make protected as well. So now when that is made, and I go back, you come back over here to W, and again, to see what the public sees is visit site. Now notice, I have 3 minutes now. Notice that the page is not here. This will happen to you. This is how you make your pages appear. You come back down over here, you come to customize, you come to menus, you click primary, and you make sure primary is selected down here. And then you see add items. And now items are your pages. So now I will add that new page that I just made that you couldn't see before. So now I'll add that. And now you see it's part of the page. And then don't forget, save the changes. And now history is viewable to the public. So that's how you can add a page. So I'll go back and do that again. So you close out of here, you go back to the pages. Now I'm going to add a new page, and I'm going to say, add a new page, waiting for the prompt to come up. Just use the blank one. If you click any of these, it's just going to get complicated. Click this one. This one I'm going to call 20th century. And I'm going to show you how to do the drop downs. So I'll publish it, go back to look at it, and I want to see if it's there. It's not there, you see, because I'm visiting the site. This is what the public sees. So go back to custom pages. No, I'm sorry, customize here, back to menu, back to primary, add items, 20th century. And now this is how you do your drop down. You simply move it to under the page. Then you save the changes, and now it's a drop down. So when we go visit this, that's the drop down. That's how you can make drop downs if you so need to. In this assignment, you won't be able, you won't need to, but it's good to know how. So I'm going to switch back. We don't have much time. We're going to go to another session. So all you need to do is to click back at our session, and our session is 10:30.